Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, episode number 59 today for the Italian Grand Prix in Season 3. If you guys did miss the previous one uploaded yesterday at the Belgium Grand Prix, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. That was probably the most chaotic race weekend as a whole, from qualifying into the race itself, that we had so far in the series. A lot of different things went on. I don't want to spoil it for you, so definitely go check that one if you haven't seen it. But we're here now for the Italian Grand Prix, and we've only got 2 days from the previous one, so not too much to do on the activity timeline wise. Finally, we've got that ultimate reliability upgrade that's coming for the internal combustion engine, so hopefully that will help us on into the rest of the season. No email messages. I make a note of that because technically from now to the season begins the period where we could be told about an R&D regulation change. The earliest I've ever seen it is at the Italian Grand Prix, but no messages so far from Carl about the potential rumours of a regulation change. Of course, usually he sends you an email one race before about the rumours, I think. That's how he generally works, and then you get the cutscene the very next race weekend after that. So nothing to report on that kind of front, but we do have an interesting email here about a driver retirement announcement, and it is not Lewis Hamilton. I thought it may be, but it's going to be Romain Grosjean, which is equally kind of nice in terms of shaking things up, because Haas, their lineup stayed the same in our career mode save for all 3 seasons. It's been Magnussen and Grosjean since the beginning of this game cycle, so it'll be nice to see someone just different in that Haas car. Maybe that could be a nice domino effect in the midfield, because we didn't get too many transfers from Season 2 to 3, but we did a lot in Season 1 to 2 because of the domino effect I created by signing Sainz, of course, at the time. So hopefully that might create a domino effect in the midfield with Haas there, and also we could still have time for Hamilton to announce he's retiring. I only say that because, of course, he's yet to score over 10 points in this season, so you would say he's either going to really come back in a big way in Season 4, or typically in real life this would be the kind of moment where a driver maybe hangs up his boots. So that remains to be seen. But going into this race weekend then, Ferrari bring even more upgrades. They brought a pretty big upgrade to Spa, and if it wasn't for the safety car and the kind of strategy change there, I really feel like Leclerc would have dominated that Grand Prix, but in the end he didn't win that race. So Ferrari brought more upgrades. Obviously it's their home Grand Prix in front of the Tifosi, wanting to make a good show. As I mentioned a lot last episode, that race in Season 2 was the inflection point for Leclerc just going on a mad one. We kind of half saw a little bit of him improving in pace last episode, but of course the strategy did kind of ruin that for him, so maybe this is the chance for him to show it. But at the same time, in their own right, Red Bull and Sainz did look quick. They've won 2 races now in the last 4 episodes, I think it is, and to be very also, at times we were showing some good pace. We were just about able to match Leclerc's pace in race terms at the end of the Grand Prix, apart from like when the tyres went off on the last lap. So I think we could go well around Italy as long as we don't hit any kind of speed bumps like we did at Spa during qualifying. Thankfully, no rain to come, so we go into Saturday and it's all sunny and dry. So hopefully no mistakes made from me in the early stages of Saturday. We can get through to the top 10 shootout and try and get this as high as we can on the grid. And we start our proceedings in Q1 with the best way possible, top of the timesheet. Surprise, really, because usually in Q1, obviously we're playing a bit of catch up and we're kind of winding up and, you know, heating up with the circuit, so to say. But top of the timesheets, Verstappen in P6, so the car maybe has just some pure pace there. Ferrari were a little bit down, so maybe they're just waiting to really show their true hand. Obviously that can happen. We've seen that before with AI, where they just don't seem on the pace completely, and then Q3 turns around and they just are there, very much like in real life. Sometimes the teams leave it till the last minute to show their true colours. But Q2 now trying to get through on one run, hopefully, to give us 2 fresh sets of soft tyres in the top 10 shootout. We go fast of all, again fast and Sainz and Verstappen, and again we top the timesheet in the second part of qualifying. Verstappen up into P3, Ferrari P7 and 8. So despite those upgrades, I don't know, that pace doesn't seem to be there right now, but of course we now go into the top 10 shootout. But again, Hamilton fails to make it through. The racing point of Stroll looks pretty high. It's surprising to see him right up there in P5, and then Albon, his teammate, got knocked out in P10, so some differences there inside different teams. But now we go into the top 10 shootout. That first run, at the moment, Ricciardo sets an early lap time to kind of aim for, I guess. We've got a Ferrari up ahead of us on track, also doing his flying lap, so let's see how they get on as we go through towards Parabolica. 8 people set their times right now, as we're down to P8 on the top left. We're yet to set a time, but here we go now towards the line, and it's going to be Giovinazzi that goes fastest, and we cannot match him, and we go P3 instead. And by the end of this session. Leclerc is up into P2, but Giovinazzi, the Italian, so far is on provisional pole position. We're in P4, ahead of Verstappen, Sainz ahead of us. We've only marginally improved in Sector 2. We didn't improve in Sector 1, and through Parabolica, we're only just about going to gain a few mere thousandths of a second across the line, and it's hardly any improvement, and I think it will be that P4 we already were in. Yes, it is. It's the second row alongside our former teammate Carlos Sainz in the Red Bull, the winner of last race. But Antonio Giovinazzi, take a bow. The Italian, it's only his fourth or third race in this Ferrari, and he's on pole position in front of not only the team's home fans, his home fans. That is quite something. Ahead of Leclerc in second place, but it's so fine. So you can see the pace gap also from Leclerc then to Sainz. That's the pace difference. So Ferrari finally at the end, when it really mattered, showed their hand and showed those upgrades. So let's see. Let's go to the grid. I suspect it may be the Ferrari show here in Italy, which will really please the fans. But what can we do from the second row? We could have a good chance to slipstream them and still get in the mix, you know, with Sainz and even Verstappen as well. Let's go to the grid.
It's time for the Italian Grand Prix once again, here at the beloved and iconic Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. With the lowest downforce and drag of any circuit in the season, expect to see drivers making the most of the slipstream effect here today. We're 12 miles northeast of Milan for today's Grand Prix at a Monza circuit where we can expect top speeds of around 215 miles per hour. 11 corners on this 3.6 mile track, with 7 of those coming in the form of chicanes, and with a good slipstream and DRS open, there should be plenty of opportunity for some passing here today. And I'm joined once again by Anthony Davidson to bring you the lowdown for today's race. Why don't we start by talking about Carlos Sainz? That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs. So it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Antonio Giovinazzi will lead us away from pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Sainz, the owner-driver, Max Verstappen and Bottas, Ocon, Norris, Ricciardo and Lance Stroll, Albon, Hamilton, Pierre Gasly and Perez, Russell, Latifi, Nick de Vries and Roman Grosjean, Aitken, Magnussen, Kvyat and Nobuharu Matsushita. And now it's time to head down to the track.
So, of course, this being Italy, the strategy is very straightforward. It's going to be a one-stop from the soft tire to the mediums. There may be certain cars that go to the hard tires. I think I'm confident enough me and Verstappen will probably go on to medium, especially with the tire upgrades we have done recently this season. So that shouldn't be an issue. Fuel will be maybe more of an issue than the tire wear, really, because, of course, you're flat out so much of this lap, especially with the downforce we have. You know, the corners are so much quicker, so you are just on throttle for most of the lap. So that will be the only thing of maybe having to lift and coast a little bit here or there or go into lean mix, but it's going to be a slipstream fest. That's going to be very, very important today if we have any hope and chance of battling the Ferraris and the Red Bull alongside us on the second row. But here we go then to 5 red lights. The Italian Grand Prix with an Italian on pole position. Fire lights are out and we're underway, and it's a great start from Leclerc. Not so much for the pole sitter. Giovinazzi, Leclerc into the lead. We've had an okay start. We try and cut across Verstappen to block him off on the inside there. Maybe get to the inside of Carlos Sainz, give him a little bit of a lunge, but in the end, he's quite good on the exit, although a little bit tight to the line and compromises exit. And now to drag race between myself and the Red Bull car, but Sainz really gives us a good old pinch, and it's a tyre on the grass for us on the right-hand side, so no love lost there from Season 2, clearly, as he gives us the good old elbow on the right-hand side. And now we go defensive against Ocon, who is going to switch back us. You can see as he comes out of nowhere on the right-hand side and overtakes us with ease. So the Frenchman does us, the man who caused us so much pain last episode around Spa, completely pulled our pants down there. We went defensive through the left-hander, but then Ocon just did what I typically do to the AI, just switched it left to right, got the much better exit speed, and into the first Lesmo, and he's up into 4th place then. So at the moment, though, Leclerc leads the way from Giovinazzi. He's going to be kicking himself from losing pole position, but I'm not surprised. Leclerc, I said it, you know, I don't know what it is about Spa. car, but he just switches on from then on, and he's fully switched on today and leads the way now on the opening lap. But it's a 1-2 for Ferrari. They'll still be happy about that. Sainz, the last race winner, chases after in P3, and then you've got the McLaren in P4. Myself, P5. Verstappen is a lot closer to me than I am to Ocon, you know, so we might have to soak up a bit of pressure from Verstappen rather than looking forwards, because it looks like that McLaren is pretty damn fast in a straight line, and Verstappen is very much pressurizing me as we move on later into this Grand Prix. And through Ascari, he gets a great exit off that left-hander, and even though we're using plenty of overtake mode there on the exit to just give us a little bit of an oomph, Verstappen is still there lurking around on the left-hand side. We're defending the inside line into Parabolica, but Verstappen's so brave, and he gets on the power midway through so much earlier than I can, and he's so confident round the outside. He's pulled it off. We're now neck and neck pretty much as we pull alongside him, literally tyre wall side by side with each other. We then get the advantage using a bit more ERS, I imagine, down this straight, but into turn one. I brake as late as I dare, but Verstappen outbrakes me. He's so much better under brakes here, it would seem. And now to be a deja vu, it's a drag race out of turn two, this time with my current teammate, and Verstappen gets this slight advantage at the start, and he's giving us a good old squeeze on the right, but we continue to deploy ERS and give him a squeeze back on the left-hand side, but he's going to have the better inside line. We have to give him the space on the inside. In doing so, we go over that orange sausage curve that unsettles the rear end, and Verstappen gets a much better exit, and he's able to slot up into P5, and we have to just settle for that P6. Can't really do too much in this section going side by side. Not really ideal. We've already lost so much time to Ocon, and we lose some more time on the exit as the rear end squirms. So you can see the pressure is getting to me, trying to push as hard as I can on the limit of what I can do with this car, try and keep up with Verstappen, you know, such as the rating, you know, 99 to 100 rated Verstappen, and you can see there, having to push so hard to the point where I lose the back end, and we've now been overtaken by Valtteri Bottas. It's all crumbling away a little bit for us. We need to regain some composure here and try and keep the tyre temps in check, because I imagine those rear end snaps are not helping the internal carcass temperature. But right now, going wide, and Lando Norris has also done us. We're down to P8. This is becoming a disaster right now on lap number 4 to 5 as we open DRS to re-overtake the Brits. Can we try and make a late dive bomb on Bottas? No, not possible, because Norris dive bombs us to try and keep the fight going onto a new lap. We're now neck and neck with him. We're on the left-hand side this time, so can we try and squeeze him out like many of the AI have done so far to us in this Grand Prix, deploying plenty of ERS, you can see on the bottom right, pretty much to the end of that straight to make sure I get the job done on Norris. And now we're on the back of Bottas at the end of that lap, and we're not going to waste any time. Get that done, turn in, hit the apex, and then on the exit, try and deploy the rest of the ERS we can. And now hopefully just push away permanently from that pack and chase after Verstappen, who we've already lost 2.2 seconds to. So it's going to be easier said than done to close that up, especially at a track like this where everyone is so close. We're all full throttle for most of the lap. It's very hard to close up a gap like that, and it takes us a further 3 laps to get within a second. So quite a fair amount of time, really. You know, if it was a different circuit, I feel like we could have closed up maybe within a lap and a half. It's taken 3 to 4 full laps here, but now have we got a good run? We've got a really good slingshot exit off the last turn, deploying ERS to perfection as it reset across the line, kept on deploying it. We've got DRS open, Verstappen goes defensive to the inside, so we pull to the left, we jockey for position, back and forth, our cars rock, and through turn 2, very fine, as our car has to skip over the bump, and we almost hit Verstappen's side pod, but didn't make enough contact to warrant any sort of damage or anything, thankfully, and we continue the fight then, and we're actually gaining, and we're so fine on the left with the grass, tyres banging pretty much so, and we're neck and neck again through the next right. We get the exit though, and this time we're able to overtake Verstappen at the same place where he overtook us previously, but we really had to give a good old fight there. This is becoming a mega scrap, and it may just continue on for the entire race really, because it seems like we're very equalised on pace, and the rest of the cars around us, well, the McLaren up ahead, the Red Bull, the Ferraris, they're in a different league right now, so we're pretty much in no man's land with Verstappen. So this may well be a race-long fight, which is going to be quite tiring really by the end of this one, because being Italy, you can just keep on slipstreaming each other and just back and forth overtaking each other, very much like you're seeing right now. Lap 11, Verstappen on the left, we give him a little bit of a pinch to try and scare him off the road a tiny bit, but he actually again tries to outbrake us. We actually outbrake ourselves, we go way too wide, and Verstappen, it's a textbook, just cut back into the inside, and he actually comes in for his pit stop. We nearly follow him in there by mistake. We continue on on then. Me and Giovinazzi, the only ones going on once again, just like Spa. We were the only two that went on a little bit longer than everyone else, but I felt like we had a good enough pace on the soft tyres. Despite the 2 red sectors there, I think our in lap was definitely faster than Verstappen's one, and will probably be faster than his out lap, so I'm confident we could actually jump him here with the pit stop going 1 lap longer. Let's see. We come in now for that one and only pit stop of this afternoon. If there's no incidents, obviously, to come, we're on to a set of medium tyres. As I said, I think Sainz has gone to hards, and the 2 Ferraris gone to medium tyres. So you never know. In the second stint, if Sainz is very slow on those hard tyres, maybe there's half a chance we could catch up to him. But there you go. The crucial move is on Verstappen there. We get out just ahead of him. But to give you an update then on the race lead, if you are in doubt, it is Charles Leclerc that leads the way still. It's a 1-2 for Ferrari. Giovinazzi doing a stellar job, to be fair to him, in P2. Remember, he's not as highly rated as Leclerc as an AI driver, so the fact he's keeping it in P2 shows maybe why Ferrari went with him and dropped De Vries earlier on in the season. P3 is actually Ocon, because he's on the mediums and Sainz on those hard tyres, just not the pace he needed on the outlaps, I guess. So the McLaren is up into the podium position as it stands right now, as we are in P5, of course, still ahead of Verstappen just about. But we got yellow flags up ahead, and on the minimap, the orange dot is going slow, and it's Ocon. Ocon out of P3. What a shame for him. But to be honest, I think both me and Verstappen will be smiling a little bit in the cockpit there. Ocon out of the Grand Prix, and everyone gets 1 free position. Sainz now up into P3. Verstappen tries a look on the outside. It was such a late move from Verstappen. I thought I had that fully covered off, so I switched off a little bit as we entered the apex there. But Verstappen just squirted the throttle as we're still in the brake zone and tried to force his way past. Didn't work out, so we remain in P4. But now we're fighting for potentially the opportunity to chase after Sainz. But I think we're so bothered on each other that we're going to slow each other up so much so in this race that this may just continue to be a fight for P4 and 5. And I think that's just the way it's going to be. You know, any inkling of working as a team, I think, it's gone out the window, especially in the last few races where it's very clear now we are very much in a championship fight with each other for the Drivers' Championship, as well as obviously Sainz and Leclerc. So I don't think there's going to be any more teamwork for the entire rest of the season, to be honest. And as we've been discussing that, obviously Verstappen overtook me in Iscari, but we got such a poor entry into Parabolica, such as the dirty air off the back of that car, that we have lost a bit of time there. And actually Lando Norris pressurised us. We now look to try and defend against the Brit and also kind of catch up to our teammate at the same time. So having to look kind of both ways, forwards and backwards, and make sure we don't get mugged off by the McLaren. And even Ricciardo's not too far off here. So we're going to try and just close back up to Verstappen. Maybe sit in his DRS a little bit to pull away from Norris and Ricciardo, then go for the move. But obviously I can reassure you, by the end of this race there definitely will be only one victor in terms of this battle. We won't be working as a team to catch up to Sainz or anything like that. And here we go now, lap 17, 10 laps to go in this Grand Prix. We're coming at him in a rate of knots. Oh my word, he nearly completely put us on the grass there. We make some contact into turn 1. We went very late, made a very late decision to go to the right hand side. I wanted that inside line, but Verstappen kept his line and just squeezed me right into the grass to the point where I literally got scared off my throttle pedal. But it won't matter. On the second straight off turn 2, we get the job into the chicane, go down to lean mix to save some fuel, but that was a huge mistake because Verstappen is still on rich mix, I think, and he gets a beautiful exit and just waltzes past us on the right hand side to the inside of Lesmo 1. So you know, we overtook him, but I saw how much fuel I had to save in this race. I went to lean mixture straight away, thinking, okay, sector 2, don't need to worry too much about having rich mix going. But clearly Verstappen deployed some ERS on that exit for sure, because the exit he got on that right-hander off that chicane was just mad and just surprised me to no end, and to the point where now we've actually lost some time there, such as the dirty air behind him into Ascari. So we have to all to do again, and we have to recompose ourselves. So note to self, when we overtake him, forget about saving fuel until we're fully past him and a second away, because otherwise he's just going to pounce. He's, you know, using his ERS and fuel mixture, it looks like very, very well, it would seem here. So this is really, it has been a race-long scrap, and it's getting a little bit close for wear as well on that previous attempt. And so here we go. This time I'm not going to bother with the inside line. We'll go to the outside and try and get this done the long way round into turn 1. Verstappen, oh, Verstappen's hit us! Verstappen, what have you just done there, mate? Into turn 1, he turns left into a right-hander, and we've been dealt a massive bit of damage. I think that's orange on the front wing, which means we're going to be literally limping home. We've got 6 laps to go. Not enough time for us to make a pit stop. It's not worth to make a pit stop to change that front wing. But what on earth was this? Verstappen literally turns left when you should be turning right and just drives into us. I don't know what that was. For me, there's no way you can spin that. It was just a racing instant. He's turning right. He's turned too early, so he's going to cut the curb. That's his own fault. Just firm it. Go across the curb. He turns left to correct himself, and in doing so, because of the speed we're both coming into the corner, there's no way we're not going to make contact, and it's actually quite a bit of contact, enough to break my front wing or end plate on the right-hand side, and now we're left just to, well, not even fend for P6. We might be in trouble here because Lando Norris and Ricciardo weren't too far behind us and they were looking mighty. Meanwhile, an update in this race. It is still a 1-2 for Leclerc and Giovinazzi. Sainz in P3. Verstappen is now comfortably in P4. Meanwhile, P5, we've got Ricciardo and Norris battling each other, and Ricciardo goes for a huge dive to the inside of turn 1. Such is the slow pace of me into every corner now, trying to slow down the car with pretty much half a front wing now at this stage of the GP. But look at Norris go. Those two still battling, so I'm kind of going to be a bit of a mobile chicane in the middle of these two fighting away, and Norris gets Ricciardo, the two future teammates at McLaren in real life, of course, doing battle here respectively in Red Bull and McLaren. But we've got 5 laps left, and well, you can see the understeer is very much kicking into the point where Norris just goes down inside like we're pretty much a Fiat 500 versus a supercar there on the inside, and we can actually slipstream to get him back, ironically, but it's no use. I mean, how long can I really fight these guys before they are just going to completely do me at some point and just overtake me for good? Because I can obviously get him in the straight line because my front wing doesn't affect my straight line speed, but every corner you can see I'm having to lift off, brake earlier, or if I don't brake early enough, I'm going too wide and going and understeering to the exit of the other side of the circuit, very much like you're about to see maybe as we go and almost push Lando Norris wide. Meanwhile, Ricciardo's tucked up right behind us, but Norris gets us, but we're going to have ERS to deploy and also a little bit of rich mix if we want to, but we don't actually need it because in a straight line we're actually not too bad, it would seem, against Norris here. But under braking, he's surely going to have this. We're going to try our best, but we lock up on the front left. He completely just gets across us to stop us doing anything on the outside, and I think that may just be him booked away in P5, and now we've got a job to try and defend against Ricciardo for as many laps as we dare. But I don't know how long that's going to last. And then, to be honest, Albon, he's only a few seconds down the road. He may even be a threat by the end of this Grand Prix. And it's all stemmed from making contact with our teammate. I said before that we weren't going to be doing any more teamwork this season because we're both in a championship fight. I can tell you now, we're pretty much definitely not doing any sort of teamwork now. It's game on. The gloves are off. He's set a precedent here by turning left into a right-hander and causing me damage. It is very much game on. No team orders here. And it's every man for himself, I think, from now on in the season. Last season, Season 2, yes, Sainz wasn't in a fight with us in the championship, but it never got dirty. It was always respectful. We ended that on good terms. He parted the team. Very good. I was happy with him as a teammate. We just wanted to upgrade teammates, of course. But now here with Verstappen, it has turned sour. It's something I feared maybe a little bit because, of course, we did have some beef with Verstappen earlier on in Season 2, actually. But, it was quite respectful for the first half of the season. But I guess now that it's crunch time, Verstappen's maybe seen that Sainz is closing up in the championship. Leclerc's looking better. He's maybe thought, now it's time to maybe not be Mr. Nice Guy. And he's inflicted some damage on us. So we've now, gone down to P7. Ricciardo's overtaken us very easily. And like I said, on the last lap of the Grand Prix, Albon is even looking quite dangerous because that's how slow I am. Orange front wing. If this happened any earlier in the Grand Prix, I would have 100% come in for a pit stop. But because there wasn't enough laps to warrant an extra pit stop, we're just going to try our best to limp home, essentially, on the last straight pretty much here. Second last straight. Of course, we've still got one more straight to go into Barabolka. Albon tries to get us, and we just somehow managed to keep ahead of the Thai Brit. Meanwhile, Kvyat makes the last minute overtake. I can see on the top left there, but also on the very top left, you can see confirmation. Leclerc has indeed gone on to dominate that Italian Grand Prix. It's a 1-2 for Ferrari with Giovinazzi in second, but the big story Yeah, after a race-long battle, it's gone south. The pot has boiled over. And Verstappen and I have made some major contact in a Grand Prix for the first time and dealt someone damage. And that someone, unfortunately, this time round was me with the front wing damage. And it's game on now. The gloves are indeed off.
Here we are then, a thoroughly deserved win in Italy after another excellent Grand Prix. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
I'd say it was down once again to good, consistent driving, nailing the corners, working to the track conditions and perfecting the team's strategies. They got all of these things right today and the results speak for themselves.
Looking at the podium, you can see that red suit familiar to fans across the globe. A world-class win for a world-class team. Ferrari do it again.
So after a long absence from the top step of the podium, Leclerc wins once again in Season 3 of our career mode. It's a brilliant 1-2, I must say, for Ferrari. Fair play to them. They look very, very quick. Those upgrades, those double upgrades back-to-back from Spa to Italy, working a treat. And they are very much a threat. And I'm getting some deja vu from Season 2, which I really hate to feel like because that was painful at the end of Season 2. But honestly, it feels like the same way. I'm hoping kind of, we can buck up a little bit. But also, the difference is you've got Red Bull and Sainz also there. Championship-wise, we still lead the way, but it's so fine. 1 point in it between myself and Verstappen, and only 3 points in it to Sainz as well. And then Leclerc is only then a further 10. So now, with the last third of the season left to go, we're pretty much back to where we were at the very start of the season, after those first 4 races, where all 4 of us won a race each. We're now here in the same situation, many races later, within 10 points of each other. It's insane. Me, my current teammate, my previous teammate, and my previous championship rival reset again for Season 3. It's a bonkers scenario and story we're forming here in Season 3, but I've got to say, frustrating to be in the situation here today, just helpless at the end after some, just nonsensical contact by Verstappen. I mean, he took the turn too early. He was turning right too early. That's his own fault. You should just go over the curb, firm it, just take the bunny hop, lose the time, get overtaken by me. Don't turn left into the right to correct it whilst you've got a car literally alongside you that you're going to make contact with. And the angle was just so unfortunate. I think it was the left front tyre just hit my end plate straight, cleanly off. I'm not going to say anything, but just know I don't think there's going to be any sort of team play anymore for the remainder of the season. But guys, if you did enjoy that episode and are enjoying the look of that championship fight, then be sure to smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you aren't around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.